I love that intro so much. It's so cool. Um, yeah, so right. It has like such a Trent Reznor feel for it. That's what Taylor was going for. He did Velour and Tweed. If you guys want to look him up, he does our intros for all of our shows. But hello, good evening. It is 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, Thursday night, May 16th here, and we are gonna hang out and draw. And actually, I was supposed to be traveling. Supposed to be in like Detroit at the CWS headquarters, but travel plans got kind of crazy and we had to cancel. So we're not traveling, but we're sticking to our word and we're gonna be doing what we were planning on doing anyways, which was some awesome, just like honestly, what the show is kind of about, some educational stuff to make you get better at your craft, you know?
Yeah. Well, you're going in pretty much blind today as to what I'm teaching you, huh?
Yeah, completely. In fact, I'll switch my view over here. Oh, look at this cool little Jack Kirby drawing I've been doing. What do you know? Just tossing that on there for some fun. But anyways, let's get back to some stuff. So, Max, good evening. How are you, sir?
Hi. Yeah, I am the co-host here. I am Max Flowers. I'm a comic artist and illustrator, and I do a lot of stuff. But we're gonna be I'm gonna be taking Brandon back to basics today. And
Yes.
I'm basically going to be guiding him all the way from how to properly draw a straight line, all the way to
Ooh.
how to construct complex forms and um, do all the fun stuff about drawing. So
All right. This is going to be
yeah,
fun. I'm excited to map this out, and this will be fun to kind of be a cool lesson to go back to and just like hit the shed doing your scales. So,
yeah. And then for reference, I'm drawing on 18 by 24 newsprint. So I got a big sheet of paper in front of me.
what am I drawing on?
This is what we do figure drawing on. This is like your big pads that you learn on because it's better to draw big if you can.
This.
And then I'm doing it the hard way. I'm just using like a permanent marker. I don't use Sharpies because they're disposable. So this is a refillable permanent marker. That's basically a Sharpie. Um, but I'm doing this so that every mistake I make is highly visible and I cannot go back.
I'll use a pen.
So
Just use like a regular big pen. If this was a traveling episode, I probably would be.
Yep. Yeah, you can use a ballpoint pen. The real way you're supposed to do these is with a fine liner on copy paper.
Ooh.
But it does not really matter at all. And most of what I'm teaching him, especially in the beginning, is going to be from Drawbox, which is a really great, excellent beginner art program. And it's great for professionals to go back to fundamentals and get your stuff looking cleaner. So we're going to start. Have you ever even thought about how to draw a line, Brandon, or do you just draw a line?
I just draw a line, dude. I just line it. I just find a line. I'm just like, all right, cool, cool, cool.
Okay.
Take a deep breath sometimes, and I'm like, but I always like try to see where I'm going. Like,
Right.
I never try to draw towards me because I suck at that. But I try to see like if that's my point there, I'm gonna be like, all right, I'm gonna try to do a line. Bam. You know what I mean? Like,
Right. So what I'm doing right now is I'm creating my grid basically. I'm supposed to do this with a ruler, but it doesn't matter. So I'm basically just drawing my start points and my end points and getting progressively longer. And I'm doing about 2 of each of these.
all
Uh,
right.
right.
Let's see
And
here.
so what we're going to be doing is basically playing connect the dots. But at least for me, it's a lot bigger. Okay. So I have my grid. And then basically in one smooth movement, I'm going from this point to this point and creating the sharpest line that I can. And so I'm holding my pencil or my pen right out away from me in a candlestick grip, and I'm moving. What was I going to say? I don't remember. I'm drawing from the arm, right? So I'm drawing. This is from my This is from my wrist, right? If I'm drawing like this. This will always get you curves and will kill your wrist over time, right? So, like, if I'm drawing from my wrist, this is the line I'm going to get, right?
Yeah.
If I'm drawing from my elbow, you can already see it's a lot straighter, right? So this is drawing from my elbow. And then if I'm drawing from my arm, that's going to be the straightest possible way I can do it, and the smoothest too. And it's going to be
You
way
like sitting while I do this? Can I do this like are you like, at a drawing desk where it's easier to do that? Or is it just like any position you could do this from any way you're seating?
You can do it from anywhere. I'm standing up right now, actually.
I wonder if I should prop this up more. Oh, well, I guess I can't see it.
Nah, you just sit. You can do it sitting too. But the idea is you are trying to move your entire arm as you draw this line, right? So you carefully place your pen at the starting point, and then you look to where you're going, and then you go in one movement. See, I came up short there because I was blocking it, but and then you do it 3 times on the same line. And what you're looking for is to do it in one confident, smooth motion. So if I'm too slow, right, as I do this line, it's going to be woggly and wavy. And if I'm too fast, I'm going to way overshoot where I'm trying to go. Or I'm going to go like that, and I'm going to totally miss my mark. And this is called like fraying, right? And you'll see it a lot more on these big, long ones. But the idea is you warm up small, right? So, and you're supposed to,
dude, this is making sense. Like already, this is crazy.
right? And so you can see where you're messing up and getting woggly, right?
Yeah, it's always my first stroke.
Right. And then you kind of know where you're going. The idea really, like when we get to the more complicated stuff, is that you're ghosting, so you're pretending to draw the line, and then you draw your line. But see, I have a huge curve here, and I didn't actually hit my endpoint, which means I'm drawing from my elbow. Yeah, that last one was good, but you can see on these longer ones, there's a ton of fraying, and you don't want that. The goal is to not do that.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I'm having to like reposition how I kind of sit too. It's kind of crazy.
Right. I mean, it's deceiving, right? Because you think, oh, I can draw a line. That's not a problem at all. But then when you go to draw your line, you're like, oh, now I can. This exposes everything wrong with your line.
Dude, yeah, I could do this for like hours.
Yep. That's the point. This is your scales. This is what you practice. You fill up sheets and sheets of copy paper with this. The whole
dude,
sheet.
Since we got all of these Apollo City Comics books in recently, today they all come with thin sheets inside of them. So to keep them separated, I can use them as practice sheets. That's brilliant. Check it out. Cybersync. We have the variant cover here by Bob Little. We have this astonishing, awesome, like practically Megadeth homage. I get total Megadeth vibes whenever I look at this. And look at this little freaking smiley face. Dude, I love this Max Flowers cover. He also did the back on both of them, just so you guys could check that out. I love how there's blue here, and then there's purple in this one. Great job on that, dude. Phenomenal. Sorry, I just want to promote these real quick. Toss that out. So yeah, use your copy paper that you get from your books.
And I use them. I use them as layout paper because it's great for. It's exactly comic book size. So.
Oh wow! Yeah, there you go.
It's easy to do thumbnails and layouts on. But yeah, the idea, right, is, and then you can do them vertical too.
Okay, so when I finish doing it one way, I could just go the other way. You're right.
Right. And at least in my experience, well, I don't know. They're both different and challenging in their own aspects. But then you can start doing diagonal lines, right? You just create 2 points and then try and connect diagonally. And you're forcing your hand to move in a different way.
Oh, nice.
And some ways are going to be more natural than others. And since you're left-handed, you can even go the other way, right? You can start on the right and move to the left.
Oh, yeah. Mm-hmm.
And it might be more natural to you. I don't know. You know,
like flip this like on like over here like that.
Right. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
Because the whole point is like figuring out which way your hand moves naturally, and can you pull a straight line. Right. See, so now you started going faster and then you've got
Yeah.
fraying at the ends, right? So it's okay to slow down and think about what you're doing before you do it.
Yeah, I'm really experimenting to see like how to hold it, and because if I bump the brims here, that's why these first rows kind of get bumpy because I keep looking at that.
Uh-huh.
I'm trying to figure out the right spacing for it. Now that I'm going down, but
Yeah.
and like how heavy to hold it to get a straighter line. I'm noticing like if I push too hard, I not only do I go faster and I overshoot, but like it craves like an indent. So then my next ones kind of follow that indent. So I'm trying to like keep it smooth on each one.
Yeah. Well, and like you're like as I was saying like before, like I can do it with the candle grip, right?
Hmm.
And so I'm using my thumb basically as a pointer and I can point and then I'm just using my arm. And what it forces you to do is move your arm. You can hold it as a pen, right? Really up close like this. But which is great for fine line and detail, but it's harder to control, right? And then you can also hold your pen really far back like this. And then like you're gonna have a lot looser of a grip and it'll
Wow.
feel different.
Yeah, it's
Um,
messy.
right.
Wow.
So then the next step of this is once you do all your lines, you're supposed to fill up an entire sheet. I might have to end up pulling out more sheets of newsprint. I only pulled out 3, but we're gonna fill these up pretty fast, I think. So once you do your lines, your straight lines, right?
Mhm.
Then you move on to curves. And what this is you just put 3 points down randomly like that, and then you try and move through and connect all points in one curve. But oftentimes you miss the middle or you overshoot or it's not smooth. Um,
Oh,
which
yeah,
is
see, it's
the
bumpy and
point,
then smoothed out. Yeah.
right? Because now you can't just focus on where you need to go and draw a straight line. You need to focus on that middle point and then shift to that end point. So how do you get that smooth curve? And
Oh,
it should
wow.
go,
Using, like, my arm and, like, my shoulder, I'm getting a smoother curve for sure. So now it's just, like, accuracy. Like, that one was probably my best one I just did.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, because that other one is getting pretty close to like a right angle, right?
Yeah,
Versus
yeah,
like
exactly.
right, like a perfect curve wouldn't have that. Um, but it's tricky, right? It's like how do you see like this one I made really hard on myself.
And then you can start doing it with, like, your fun utensils. Like, if I had if I was traveling, I probably wouldn't have my brush pin on me. So then, like, doing all these exercises, but with like a brush, like your main craft ones, it's gonna really sharpen you up.
Yeah, for
Crazy.
sure. Yeah, the point is to use a fine liner or some sort of static pen to expose all your problems, and then you can move on to whatever, right? Like a brush
Yeah.
pen and stuff like that. But brush pens doing these exercises are really freaking difficult, which is why I told you like just use a regular pen. Um, because with a brush you then have to control your thickness, right? And so
It's a whole
creating a
different
static thickness with a brush pen and doing these long straight lines and curves is ridiculously difficult. That's like
Ooh.
mastery, you know?
Yeah. Just like learning a lot on like just doing the movements.
Yeah. And not everything's going to be perfect. You're going to have frayed lines. Things are going to get weird. That's the whole point.
Yeah. You see, we're like, and that's the thing too, is like figuring out like your breathing when you do it, like how you're like positioning your body, what muscles you're moving.
Yeah. And like um some angles are going to feel really unnatural to do,
Hmm.
to move in certain angles, right? So like all of your curves have that same kind of like arc and orientation to them versus if you try and do that same arc but upside down, right?
Oh yeah.
how are you like it's gonna push your hand a different way.
Yep. Oh, whoa. Yeah.
And doing sharp turns like U's, right, are
Okay.
gonna be a lot different than like easy arcs or gentle arcs, I guess I should say.
Oh, wow.
And this is just how you have to do these drills. I mean, you don't have to, but they're great warm-ups to get smooth lines, better lines, get your lines where you want them and learn.
It is a fun one. I will say, like, I am enjoying this. Like, I could just space out and do this for like an hour or so, probably.
Yeah. And yeah, it's crazy. You do I think Drawbox recommends that you do 3 to 5 full sheets of each exercise. So 3 to 5 sheets of lines, 3 to 5 sheets of curves, stuff like that.
Wow.
And then and you have to do them all properly. So if you just rush through it and don't think about what you're doing, you're not actually doing the exercise. You have to
Oh,
do them properly, you know. Make sure that you are starting on your start point. Your fraying should only be at the end, right? Because otherwise, if you're off on your starting point, you're going too fast. You're not thinking about what you're doing. You know, set your pen down where you're starting and then go.
okay. Dude, it's where it
Yeah.
starts getting like disciplinary at this point. You know what I mean? Like, that's
Yep.
what we're aiming for. And
Yep.
also like learning how to hold my hand, like, or hold the pen to get the straightest line out of various positions. Like, I have to hold it differently when I'm pulling versus pushing, or when I'm going from
Mhm.
certain angles. I'm doing all these uh diagonal lines, and I'm noticing from starting from different starting points leads to different results, you know?
Yeah. And it's so, but like once you find what's comfortable for you, right? So like I would say that the most comfortable line for me to pull, right, is starting in the bottom left and going towards the upper right, right? So that line is very comfortable for me to draw, just overall.
Yeah.
Um, doing a perfectly flat line is actually like uncomfortable, and going up and down is like easy enough, but it's still difficult. So this like diagonal line is the way my hand naturally wants to go, which
Yeah.
means that when I'm inking a piece, right? Usually I have my stuff taped up because I'm relatively versatile in where my hand can go. But um, a lot of inkers will physically rotate their paper so
Yeah.
that their hand is always just moving in this direction, whether it's a curve or a straight line or whatever it might be, right? Their hand
So
is
there's
just
the
always
most best
moving it.
line possible for every stroke, right? That's
Right.
essentially what we're trying to do.
Yeah. And so once you have that comfort zone, you can just keep rotating the paper to pull the lines the way that your hand is best at. Um, so now, right? I don't know how long this is taking, but
No,
now,
we're only like 18 minutes in. You're totally great.
okay. Well, I'm trying to pace it because there's a lot to cover because I'm putting you through basically a crash course boot camp. Um, so we learned how to draw a straight line, right?
Mhm.
We learned how to draw curves, right? So now we're learning how to draw shapes, right? Which is just a line that connects to itself. Um, so let me switch my paper, and
All
then
right.
we're gonna draw like squares and boxes, which is just 4 straight lines. But we're gonna do it a certain way.
Right.
Actually, are we? Not really. Let me tape this up. Okay. So now we can draw a box, right? Everybody can draw a square, right? But we're trying to keep in mind those principles that we learned in the last exercise, right? Where we're
Yeah.
just doing one smooth motion and connecting and making boxes. And then you can do all boxes, right?
Okay.
You can do angled
Oh, so
boxes.
this is just like a box. We're just doing boxes, various boxes in different positions,
Yep.
angles. Okay.
Yep. And we're not adding dimension to it. We're just drawing a flat plane. All sorts of different sizes, proportions, right? You do a really
With, like,
skinny long box.
perspective stuff, like some Brandon DePilla stuff over here. So we're doing-
You can do that. It's defeats the point of the next exercise.
okay. I won't.
But yeah, the idea is you're practicing your straight lines, but you're also creating shapes. You know, and this is what everything is based off of, is shapes. Just shapes arranged a certain way, right? Because as soon as I start overlapping stuff, like I've got a city or whatever.
Oh yeah. Okay.
But we're just drawing boxes isolated on a 2D grid. And what this is actually setting us up for is the next exercise. So right. But like the question is like, do your boxes connect? Are your lines complete? Are they straight? Are they woggledy, right? Like this, for this box, for example, right? This line isn't perpendicular. It's actually leaning this way slightly. And so is this one, right?
Mhm.
And then like this line here is actually probably more like this in an exaggerated way. It's not going straight. So like you need to notice those little things in order to get better about getting clean lines and shapes, at least without a ruler. And that one's flared out and obviously diagonal right there. And then my biggest tendency is I don't actually complete my shapes. So I have a little gap in the line there. And that's because I'm going too fast that I'm not focusing on what I'm doing. Which means I should slow down. Right? That's the idea there.
Yeah, sometimes I just have them incomplete and whatnot too.
Yeah. And then you can do some triangles too. We're gonna avoid those for the next like exercise that we're gonna do. But
I'm not doing any triangles. I'm just doing more squares and squares.
no, I know. I'm saying you can try a few triangles just to see how it feels to do something 3-sided, right? It's gonna feel a lot. If you're noticing it, it's gonna feel a lot different, right? If you're
Yeah, right
being
away.
very, very cognizant of what you're doing. And then like a triangle also like emotionally, right? And we're talking we're talking about design and stuff. A triangle is going to feel so much different than a square when you're designing something. A square is like solidity and like usually strength, and it's relatively friendly. It's not like super friendly, but it's kind of boring, right? It's boring, static, stable. Versus a triangle is very dynamic very edgy. At that sharp point gives you like a violence to it usually. Triangles represent anger and stuff like that. Which
Huh.
these rules can be broken and changed or used unexpectedly. But the shape language like idea behind it is that. And you can make like a friendly looking triangle, right? Or you can make a really aggressive triangle, and you can make a friendly looking square, right? Or you can make like a really weak, unstable little rectangle. I'm drawing off the page now, but like that rectangle is going to feel a lot weaker and more unstable than like a big square like that. I don't know. That's like the psychology behind it, but
That's cool. That's like giving you're giving emotion to your shapes, you know what I mean? You're figuring out like that's like what modes are with music. Like it's the same scale, but you play it differently and it gives you a different like vibe and feeling. So that makes sense to me. And if you're
yeah,
trying to portray emotion in your stories, like knowing what like an aggressive triangle looks like makes sense, you know? Looking what like an intimidating square looks like, you know? Like, if we do perspective stuff, that's like a monolith looking thing, you know? Or it could be a weak little like tiny box. Like there's a lot you could portray with just a simple shape.
right. Yeah. Um yeah, and that's why like most comic panels are squares. Is cuz they become invisible because they're like boring, right?
Mm.
Um it's a very normal shape is a four-sided box. I'm gonna and then so like I have my rectangles, right? So I'm gonna take it a step further, and now we're gonna draw ovals in our rectangles. Um, I'm gonna do something not necessary, but it like helps in getting things right. So I'm gonna be using this green highlighter. You can use anything. It could be a colored pencil. It doesn't matter. Just something that's lighter than black, right? Um, and so and this is also applies to perspective stuff, but I'm going to draw an X in my box, right? Connecting the 2 points. And then this is my center point. So I'm going to draw a vertical line and a horizontal line. And now I have my four like exact middles basically. And then I can remember there's my pen. And then now I know that I need to hit this point, this point, this point, and this point when I draw a circle in here.
Oh, whoa. Okay.
So when I draw a circle, which I haven't had you do yet, you're going to realize how hard it is to draw a circle or an oval.
Oh. Oh, I know. I've been drawing the same crappy bat symbol my whole life. I mean, this is all
And then you also like
Circles,
accidentally, when you did this, you also accidentally created 4 more rectangles. So you can reuse it.
oh, sick, dude. That's like so eye-opening. Like seeing the shape within the shape to like maximize stuff. Nice. That's where fine detail comes from.
Yeah, and you're going to realize real quick how hard it is. Like like by drawing it in a box, you can see exactly where you're stretching your
Oh yeah,
circles. Because if
or
you
like
just draw a circle,
curving
right?
enough.
Right. So like if you just draw a circle, I'm going kind of fast, so my circles aren't great, but um you won't like be able to tell exactly where you're making your mistakes, right?
You can't tell, but I gave this circle some emo hair right here by accident because I like really
Yeah, and you don't want to like chicken scratch your circles either, which is like when you do all these tiny lines.
Oh yeah,
I'm
you have to
doing
go.
it
You
instead.
have to,
Right.
yeah.
One smooth move to your circle.
And you want to be able to do this to all your type of squares and rectangles, huh? Right?
Yep.
Or is it just like
Yeah,
square? we're messing with.
Right. So that's the idea is like you have got these angle different ones. You should be able to draw an oval in every one.
Oh,
And that's going to let you do the next thing that we're going to do. So all of this like builds on top of one another. You know?
yeah, I could see how
Like-
we utilize doing the line connecting, and even that the diagonal lines are coming into play right here, right now. I'm glad I got to do those. And then just seeing how the curves, how you use your hand for curves and everything, what you should be looking for. And yeah, all of it's kind of like making sense in my head. Dude, circles suck.
Circles do suck. That's why you draw from your arm for circles. You're really trying to like draw from a wider point, because if I draw a circle from my wrist, it's going to be a lot more messed up than if I'm drawing a circle from my arm.
Maybe it's the pen I'm using. It also, I'm just using a regular Bic. I wonder if I use a marker or something, it might come out a little better.
Yeah, that's why I suggested a fine liner, was because the ink is going to lay on top of the paper instead of gouge the paper.
Yeah.
And I bet you that you have a heavy hand. You probably don't know yet whether you have a heavy hand or a light hand.
I always
Or
felt
do
like
you?
I was a little light, honestly.
Really?
Yeah. But I'm definitely like getting heavy right now.
Yeah.
I think it's just the repetition and holding the pen so much too is just giving me that heaviness. Like this is intricate, like I'm not just like dilly-dallying.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so like I have a heavy hand too. And especially when I'm pulling lines and I slow down, I'm extra heavy, which I shouldn't be. Like the idea is you remain light because you're going to have that fluidity to it. Slowing down and have a heavy hand is nice to get those straighter lines, but the goal is to have a light hand and a perfect line.
Oh, yeah. I'm like trying not to. It's just like, again, kind of comparing this to music. Like when you tense up a little bit, you can't play as fast. You're gonna cramp up and you're gonna slow yourself down. So just like relaxing your arm and relaxing your, your hand and your wrist, that's the way you're gonna get like the accuracy and everything. So that makes sense.
Yeah. So now we're gonna fill up our rectangles with ovals.
I wouldn't have made so many hard, difficult rectangles if I knew this was the next.
Yeah. It's a challenge though, right? That's the point.
Oh yeah, for sure. Yeah.
I'm kind of stretching this exercise. You're supposed to do I can kind of show you with this one. Is the idea is literally what you're doing with the lines, right? So you do all your straight lines. And then you create your squares, which what you do to do that is once you draw something that looks like a square, you pull your line through. And then where that line intersects with the next row here, that's where your square is. That it'll keep the ratios the same.
Oh wow.
This isn't a good example because I'm using really thick pens, so I can't actually see where stuff intersects properly. But you create your squares, and then from there you fill those with your circles, and then you're repeatedly doing circles.
Oh, nice. Okay, cool.
Right. I'm doing it this way so that we can get used to drawing ovals in different angles and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And different proportions. I don't know, it's pretty tricky.
Yeah, it's pretty hard. Fuck, I'm already like.
Yeah, you get mad. You're like, why can't I draw a fucking circle?
Yeah, honestly.
Yeah, but it's a good
then,
exercise.
like when I go back and I draw something for fun, probably after this, I'll just be like, I'm already warmed up. I might as well draw something fun. I think it's gonna come out way better.
Yeah, That's the point. And then we're gonna keep pushing further, you know. This is like if this is challenging, right? If this is stretching your limit of what you can do, then you know everything from this point on builds on this. So you have to get really good at this in order to do everything else.
This is stuff that you should be doing while you're waiting at like the doctor's office, while you're like waiting for the dentist, you know, just sitting in your car or whatever, you know what I mean? Like you don't need to be scrolling. You could just take out a pad and a paper and just work on this for a bit, you know?
Yeah.
And as being like a social media manager, this feels so good in my brain right now, not looking at a screen.
To see this overlapping city area, now it's really convoluted as to where I made these ovals. That's why I said don't overlap them, because you can't
Mhm.
actually see your boundaries.
That makes sense.
And it doesn't like really work with triangles either.
I was gonna ask if there's like a shape within the shape we do triangles with.
So I mean we could, right? The accurate way to do this is to take one of the lines, find the midpoint, and then go to the opposite vertex, right? And then basically do the same thing with everything else. And do that, and then you have your middle, and then you also have like all your midpoints, and then you can draw a circle there. But it's not like conducive to anything.
Yeah.
That's just like geometry, and um I guess some you can be used in perspective sometimes, but it's pretty hard to be precise unless you're taking out a ruler and doing measurements and stuff like that.
Yeah, it makes sense.
For now, I mean, you can just draw circles, right? That's kind of the whole point. Or ovals or whatever, you know.
Nice.
Yeah, it's tricky. It's a difficult exercise.
And it's fun though, because each one is a challenge, you know? You can't really glide through it without, or else you'll make mistakes.
Yeah, the boxes are a lot easier.
Yeah.
Um,
But getting the circles to hit all four walls at the right spot, yeah, that's a challenge.
yeah, for sure.
And I'm seeing my really good ones and I'm seeing my sloppy ones too, and it's really making a difference. And I could tell because like I'm getting the repetition down, like I'm figuring out the hand movements.
Yeah. And you made it hard on yourself too, because you did like rhombuses,
Yeah.
right? And that's just a rectangle in perspective. So you're also testing how to draw ovals in perspective.
Oh, cool. Well, rad.
Yeah, and we're gonna get to that in a second.
Really cool mistake to make.
Yeah. All right. We're moving to the next one now.
All right, I'm gonna do this last one then. Already started. Up, up that corner.
Yeah, I am gonna have to go pull out more newsprint, but that's okay.
Yeah, do it. Hello, everybody. It's just you and me now. This is
Well,
really cool. Oh wait, I thought you were walking away. Just start talking
what?
about Max. What?
I don't know.
Oh, I thought you were walking away to go get newsprint.
Oh, I have the pad next to me. I'm gonna rip it out after this sheet.
I thought you were gone for a moment. We're just gonna talk one-on-one with our audience here.
Do we have anybody in chat?
No, the chat's pretty quiet today. Actually, this is the quietest we've seen the chat.
Oh, that's okay.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, and if
I
you
hope they're
miss
all
an
working.
episode, if you miss a live or you miss like the past lives, you can always watch them. They're on the Comics Wellspring YouTube. They're just hidden under the live tab.
I know. I really don't like that. I'm actually gonna move it to the homepage when I get a chance. We just moved the shorts and clips up to the homepage, so
Oh, nice.
yeah. So trying to give that some space. And it's great. We're gonna be so consistent with these, you know. This was another day, you know, like dude, I was tired, I was burnt out. Yesterday was a long day, and then like, you know, you're just like, man, I don't know if I feel like drawing today. And then you start drawing and you're like, yeah, this is cool.
Yeah, it's nice to zone out and just draw.
Yeah. And I think a big
Yeah,
part of this, you know, the whole point is like you're not doing it alone. You know, sometimes the hardest part of working on stuff is like, oh, well, I don't want to do warm up stuff alone, or else, you know, you take out your phone and you just get distracted and you scroll for a bit or something. You're doing it with
yeah,
us,
I
like a community.
yeah, I haven't done this in the longest time. I don't do these warm ups because I just go right into pages.
Mhm.
But then my first whatever is always like sloppy, and
Yeah.
I either have to be like okay with some stuff being like sloppy, or I have to take that extra time to warm up. Um, yeah, so I don't know. It's it's really good to do. I wouldn't say it's necessary. It's probably good to like go through the program, especially for like artists, maybe once a year, right? And just like go back to your fundamentals
Yeah.
and just
Kind of
touch
see
up.
how you've advanced too, you know? Sometimes you'd be surprised. I mean, dude, compared to, I wish I had them in here. I wonder if I do in this notebook where I would try to do like, you know, squares and cubes and everything as like just a warm up. And I didn't know what I was doing. I would just do them. But definitely there's a difference. I could probably tell. There's even, I
Yeah,
don't know, that
that's
might
the
be
next
like the
thing we're
three.
doing is yeah, that's the next thing we're doing is cubes.
Nice. Oh yeah, see, there's some more right here from back in the day. Just trying
Yeah.
different stuff, you know. Hey, there's the cover to my zine. Would you know?
All right. So I'm doing my cube with the green so that I can outline it with the black later.
Okay.
Doesn't really matter, but it's just the way that I want to do it. Um, and it's so that I can draw through and then it doesn't get like messy, right? So there's a lot of I'm trying to figure out the best cube to start you on, right? Okay, so I guess there's like the way everybody learns to draw a cube, right? Which is
I
like
just want all my cubes to look like a Jack Kirby cube.
yeah, so you can draw a cube or like a square, right? And then you draw a square intersecting that square,
Oh wow, okay.
and then
Oh,
you
wow.
draw and then you draw all your lines to the corners, the
Dude, I have
corresponding.
never tried that approach ever. I'm so curious.
Really?
Dude, I swear to God, I was trying to figure out how to do
The-
cubes on my own. You should have asked me to draw a cube for you, and you would have been like,
Oh, yeah, I
cool.
should have.
Yeah, I'll show you. I mean, it's not like I've picked up this habit yet, but
So this is like how you learn to draw a cube in school. When you're like sitting in math class with graph paper, like I feel like this is what you
dude,
doodle is like a
this is like
square
the
and then
weirdest cube I've ever drawn in my life. I swear to God, I would draw cubes like this, man. I feel like words I can't say like on a live show. Like it just feels so. And then I would be like, all right, I'm gonna go this way, and then I would kind of like figure it out from there. This is probably like
Mm.
the best cube I've ever done too, like this. But
So what
it's
you're
probably
doing
like pointless
actually,
to fit.
yeah, what you're doing actually isn't bad. You just don't know the rules to
Yeah,
make them.
but
So
look, like it's all like this frame is all like angled. This square is all angled and weird, and this one's good, and this square
yeah,
is all angled and good. But then this top one's like weird, and then that one's wonky. You know what I mean? Like some of them, that's wonky. That base, like if this was a square, it'd be like, I mean, not like that, but like that. You know, like there's all sorts
right.
of things I get correct about it. Yeah.
So the problem with drawing it this way
Uh huh.
is you are not accounting for perspective at all.
Oh.
This is an isometric. It's called an isometric cube because your all your lines are parallel. When in reality, the cube, the lines are never parallel. There's always perspective acting on it, right? So I can draw a freehand cube in perspective just because I like know what I'm looking for and I know the shorthand, right? Um, so like this is a much better
Oh, it's
cube,
kind of the way I was doing them. Okay, so just like working on that
right?
almost.
So this is a much better cube because it's in perspective. So and like let me use the black to kind of explain what's going on here, right? So in this one, I have a set of 3 lines that are parallel, and then I have a set of 3 lines that are parallel, and then I have a set of 3 lines that are parallel. And it makes a pretty good looking cube, but
Uh-huh.
it's not realistic. Um,
Mm.
this one, I've got, for the most part, a straight line, like going
Yeah.
down, right? And then this one comes in at an angle towards a point imaginatively, right? If I draw those lines, the point is down here. And then this one does the same thing. It angles inward, right? Trying to connect to this point over here. And then the same thing with this one. This is like my baseline, right?
Yeah.
And then this one should angle up towards that middle one a little bit. And this one should angle towards that middle one a little bit. And the idea with this is like on a large stretch of paper, it's all going to go towards perspective. And then it's the same the other way. I have my baseline, and then this one angles in towards there and angles in towards there.
Okay. That's wild.
So what now what we're gonna do is draw a perspective grid, which isn't hard, right? So I'm gonna use this point just because I already have it and it exists.
Okay.
So we're gonna draw one line across the paper like that. And what this is called is our horizon line. Well, actually, hold on. This is our horizon line, right? So that's our eye level.
Mhm.
And then this point here, that's our vanishing point, right? And then from there, every line is going to point to that line. So we're going to kind of create like this fan.
Just do a pretty little sunset, you know?
Yep. And this is for an exercise. So it doesn't need to be the prettiest grid, and it doesn't need to be the most exciting grid. right? If I throw in a vanishing point over here and do a grid over fanning from this way, and then we draw all our cubes over here, it's going to be a lot more like interesting or dynamic. But this is purely for an exercise to understand how things rotate in space. So we have our fan, okay, and then now we're going to draw a grid over the top of that. So it's just going to be a bunch of straight lines going vertical. And then we're going to do a bunch of straight lines horizontally as well. And then this is 1 point perspective. This cube was done in 3 point perspective because we've got a point over here, a point way over here, and then we've got a point down here. So this, we're using 3 points here to guide us. This one, we're just using 1, right?
Okay.
So now we have our grid. Now we can just do what we did in exercise 3, I guess, technically, and draw a square.
Anywhere in the grid? Just
Yeah.
anywhere?
Doesn't matter. Doesn't need to
Should I
fall
use
on
a
a
different
point.
color so it pops out more?
Yeah, if you have one.
Let me see. I think there's a blue pen right here. Yeah, it's not the best pen, but the blue pen.
Okay, so you have your square. Now you have your guidelines, right? You already created all your like the way that it's going to point towards the vanishing point. So now you just like follow those lines, and anything that lands in the middle, like this one, right? It's just an approximation between this line and this line. You know, it's just going to point back somewhere, right? So you can create your lines. It doesn't matter how far they go. You're just creating your lines going towards that vanishing point.
Oh, just towards the vanishing point. All right, cool.
Right. So that bottom one, you see how it's actually intersecting with the fan line below it. The that square that's on the left point. You see how it's not like you drew. If this was that point of the square, oh, you can't see it. If this is your point of the square, instead of like following that line, right, and going in the middle, you drew the line so that it's actually intersecting this other fan line.
Oh, I see. Okay. Follow the fan lines towards it. I get you. All right. Cool.
Yes.
Cool. Sorry.
Yeah. You're good. That's why we're learning, right? Because this then is not obeying perspective. That's not a straight line going back. Suddenly created something different.
Oh yeah. Okay. Yeah. So this one was just a little off. This was pretty on point, but this one was the one that was like mega
the problem.
off there. Yeah.
Exactly. Okay. Yeah. And then you just finish it off with your horizontal and vertical lines. And now you have a cube in 1 point perspective. And so what this does is this is facing you. So this is a flat plane that is
oh, okay. I see that. Holy crap.
Parallel to your view, right? This is the underneath, right? This is the underside, and this is the side. So anything that's above the horizon line, you're going to see the underside. And anything that's below, you're going to see the top.
Oh, yeah, this one makes sense.
Right. And so,
makes sense.
Yeah. And then you can do it with anything, right? So you do a long rectangle, you draw your lines towards, and then you can cut it off. The reason you don't see the side here is because these 2 points, the vanishing point is in the middle of these 2 points. So if you draw through, right, you're drawing through and following the perspective, you can see that the sides actually are in the what looks like the interior. And then you can disobey the laws of the grid, right? And now I created a tilted square. And then if I follow those lines, my fan lines that I created, it gets real.
Oh yeah, dude, this is wild. This is
It
like
gets
literally
real
blowing my mind
tricky
right
on
now.
some of it.
Yeah, I wish I would have made this whole grid bigger and like a little tighter now too. That's so cool though.
Right.
And you could do this with like any shape. Like, what if I did a triangle? Like, I'm gonna draw a triangle real fast. Dang. So this is how you do buildings and everything, huh?
Yes.
Oh, dude, this is a Spider-Man cover right here. I get it now. That's so, dude. The craziest looking thing is so basic. It's like so basic. This top shot that always looks super cool in Spider-Man covers. Like, it's just this. Like, that's wild. That's insane.
Yeah. And then so now we do what we did in exercise 4, and then you draw a circle in your square.
Helicopter pad. Okay. All right.
And then now you that top point where the circle meets that square, you follow your fan line. And then same thing with the bottom is you follow your fan line. Yeah, so it's going to be the outer edge, right? Is what you're looking at. Whatever's the farthest point. And then you draw the I'm actually going to draw a new square so that it'll read better. But hold on.
Here, I'm gonna move this real fast so we can see more of what we're both doing right here.
Right. So this one's going to be a little bit clearer. So you draw your circle, and then imagining like I reference the top and bottom mostly. In reality, it's probably a point like over here, but I reference mostly the top and bottom, right? So this top point is the furthest point out. If I were to like draw a cone here, so this goes to the vanishing point. And then if I draw the center and draw it to the vanishing point, it'll intersect here. See, there's like this space here that is inside that circle. So really it's like this point here. So now I have those, and then I can draw the circle at the end of my cube, and that's a cylinder. So what that looks like without the box, right, is a circle. I draw a line towards the vanishing point, and then I draw another circle over here. And then that's a cylinder.
Nice.
Yeah. And then this only gets more complicated as soon as I start adding another vanishing point, right? So maybe I'll do it on like a different one. We'll do a perspective episode.
Yeah.
And I'll walk through 1 point to like 5 point. But once you understand this concept, then you can just start freehanding cylinders and cubes, right? In all sorts of different perspectives. Once you understand that lines converge, I can start drawing cubes from any angle, and it makes sense. Doesn't have to follow this grid. The point being, you can then you just fill up pages with cubes and cylinders, and then and then you kind of look at your cubes and cylinders and say, okay, that doesn't make sense, right? Or like, oh, that this one looks good.
Mm-hmm.
So like when you're drawing a cylinder that doesn't obey 1 point perspective, right? You're gonna have the box that surrounds it. I don't need to get more newsprint. I can just use the back. You have a box that's more like this, right? That rhombus shape that you made before,
Yeah.
right? And then this will go down, and we'll say like this, right? But when you draw your circle here, or your oval, or whatever it may be, right? It's not going to be a perfect circle. It's going to be an oval, right?
Yeah.
And then when you go down, right? I'm drawing my converging lines down, and then we'll draw a line here, right? Well, actually, it should be here, and that's our line. That's our rectangle that sits in the middle of this cylinder. This one will be more circular. That's how like perspective just works, basically, right?
Mhm.
This is really messy. But the
Yeah, I was like,
idea,
yeah, I was just like following you and I was doing it too, and I was like, okay, cool. But yeah, mine came out sloppier than it should have been. But I get where you're going with it for sure.
right? Yeah, like I don't know. I'm trying to figure out the best way to explain this.
But this like explains so much, just like in like a like
Yeah.
in the sense of everything, dude. I was doing that. Let me show you real fast. I was doing that demon drawing. You know, I was showing you at right before
Mm-hmm.
we started the show, and so many of these like concepts like play into even that. Wow, I really wish I could find this drawing now.
Yeah, and that's where we're gonna take this. Like 2 steps from this is like constructing forms in 3D space. There's
Yeah.
one more step between this and drawing like a human form, or the form of a plane or whatever. I figured out the way to explain this. So we
This is
have
like where the drawing the Marvel way, kind of like the gaps that we're filling. You know what I mean? When they go from like
right,
a shape to one thing, and then it's like a perfect figure. Like that's what we're gonna fill.
right. So this is our horizon line, right? And this is what I'm getting at, where this is rounder versus this is like flatter. Um, so this is our horizon line. This is where everything converges. This is our eye level. So if
Mhm.
I draw a bunch of horizontal lines, right,
Mhm.
like this, and then I draw one that's like really close, to get to the point, right? These are going to be really skinny. You can't even see it on there, but like as we get higher and higher above that vanishing point, the more it turns into a wider space.
Oh, cool, dude. This is some like Frank Whiteley fun stuff. All right. See, this is what I wanted to learn how to do, draw trippy stuff. You know what I mean? And this is exactly.
Right. So this is, and then if I draw one way down here, right, like that, we're getting even closer to a square. And way up here, we're getting even closer to a square. Right. And then we make it a box, right? This is like that underside. And then this is like the top. So then if I if I treat this as the top of a cylinder and treat this as the bottom of a cylinder, right? Then I've got my oval here that fills that plane, and my oval here that fills this plane, and then I can just draw a line down.
Okay, so wait, I did this part, and then you drew a square way down here, as of like gapped out, right?
Right, yeah.
Sorry, I'm catching up here.
It's okay.
All right, cool. And then we do the circle in here, and we do the cylinder,
well,
right?
well, you have to draw your perspective lines going towards that vanishing point from that bottom of the box, right?
Oh, okay. So this just goes a straight line up, basically. What we're doing.
No, it goes to the vanishing point. That X. That point that you're at right now goes to the
Yeah.
X.
Oh. And right here, right?
Yep.
I do the same thing here.
Yep.
There we go.
And then draw a horizontal line to cut off your box. So you're gonna draw a line like here.
Oh, yeah. I get it. Okay, this all
Right.
makes sense now. Cool.
Yes.
There we
So
go.
now you,
Top. Yeah. Bam.
yeah, top and bottom of your box, and then now draw an oval in that space that you made, that you just made. Right. Yeah, that one.
Look at that sick ass oval, dude.
That one was clean.
It was a little wonky, but yeah. And then we're doing the right.
No. You don't need to do that. That was just me
Oh.
pointing out. But now you draw a straight line like this.
Dude, that's sick.
Now what you created was a box, a cylinder, and then a box.
Whoa.
Right. So, but if I drew one here, right, like this, these ovals, it's still a cylinder, but it's just like further back, and this is much more. This is closer to a circle.
Oh, I think I drew these. I should have drawn the squares going up instead of. I
Yes.
drew mine.
Yeah. It's
Dang
okay.
it.
It's complicated to wrap your head around at first.
Yeah, this mirror dimension stuff is pretty wild, but it looks so cool. And again, it looks super trippy, but it's not that complicated.
No. Okay, so now we need to learn how to combine shapes, right? In a way that makes sense. So let me grab a sheet of newsprint, and then we'll combine shapes.
That's super cool. Let's see here. I'm gonna prep one of these for later, so I could come back to it.
Yeah, this is like 101, you know. This is like let's crash course the fundamentals so we can draw some cool stuff. Okay, I'm trying to think about the best way to explain how to do this. I think we're just gonna go for it. So, I'll wait till you.
No, go for it. I was just prepping this one for later, and I'm already rushing it.
So we're gonna draw a pretty regular cube.
I'm gonna kind of make the way you did that. You kind of drew like a Y first, practically, huh?
Yeah, I drew this. I drew the center line. This is the edge. That's the corner. And then I drew a line out, and then I drew the like a line converging, and then I figured out where this line was going, and then I drew the line converging, and then I mirrored it basically, and then connected everything. Right. Yeah. And then those lines don't need to connect point to point, right? Like,
Right.
so your bottom lines are further out. Yeah. See, so they don't need to do that. They can just go straight down from that point.
This point? Oh, right here?
Yeah.
Oh, I
No,
see.
just
Like that. Like I
well.
was
See, now you created. This is what that face looks like now, instead of like this.
Thanks for
So your line.
saying it sucks, Max. No, I'm kidding. Oh, let me try that. Let me try that from the beginning again, the way you did it.
Right. So even if I draw my line super long, right?
Yeah.
When I close them, I can choose anywhere along this path here to close my box.
Is that better?
Yeah, a little bit.
I know, man. I still like messed like the. I see the slope there.
Yeah.
You got
Well,
like
just draw.
carved out.
Right. So just go back to exercise
There we go.
1, right? You're just drawing your line straight down. Yeah. So combining shapes, making complex shapes, right?
Mhm.
This, let's say this box is too short for what I want to do, right? Say I want the box to be longer going down, right? I just continue this line here, these lines, and then I close it off again.
Oh, okay. All right. All right.
So now I just combined a cube to a cube.
You just fucking kept it going.
There you go.
Hell yeah.
Close off the top.
Oh,
There
there
you go.
Hell yeah.
So now I say, well, this is boring. This is just a rectangular cube. So I want to put out a section over here, right? Now I can take this original bottom, right, and drag that out. And same thing over here. Continue this line out. And then add in my new cube. And now I just made basically a Tetris piece.
Damn, look at that. I thought it looked cool.
Yeah. So that the line, yeah, that new square that you created over here.
Mm-hmm.
So my lines are still following that like straight line that's here and here, versus yours like goes off to the side.
Oh,
There.
I see. I see. That makes sense. Yeah, I was wondering what was
Yep.
making it look so wonky. So that's a little bit
Yep.
better. I see what's going on here, though.
Yeah. So now I made a
Again,
Tetris.
perspective. It always sticks to like this is okay.
Yep.
I get it.
We're
That's a
following
direct
the
line.
grid. Everything is either a horizontal line, a vertical line, or following those lines to the vanishing point. And I'm actually throwing you a curveball here because I didn't teach you 2-point perspective. So and this cube is drawn in 2-point perspective. So I'm challenging you a little bit more than I should be, I guess.
I'm kind of rushing this, but like I want to see if I could, if I get what just happened. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then here, and then here, And then I just have to go. That follows that. And that follows that. And that follows that. Okay, that one's way better. Like if that
Yep.
was up here, that'd be
Uh-huh.
awesome. Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. And then
Like
we
this
get
line matches these lines, and this
right.
line matches these lines. Ew.
Right. And then I say,
Oh.
okay, well, I want like a smaller stick to be coming out of here, right?
Uh-huh.
So now I can draw yeah, we'll do it like this. So we'll draw our lines inside the cube, right?
Yep.
Like this. Right. So now we just broke this one square into like 9. Right.
Yeah.
And then now this is, let me grab actually this pen. Right. So these points have now become our new square like this. So these can follow this line now.
Oh crap. Okay, so we're gonna do these.
Yeah, you're following this line right here. This one. That angle, you're trying to copy that angle on all of those points.
Yeah, there we go.
Yep. And then now you put in your 2 straight lines, your 2 horizontal or vertical lines, and then connect them following this same angle that's here, right, that we're using for everything. These same angles, you're going to follow those angles here.
Yep. That one I fucked up.
It's okay. This is complicated. You know, now we're getting into the complicated stuff. You haven't practiced the other stuff enough to like understand this.
Yeah, I would love to like make one and then just do like a whole row of them. Like, you know what I mean? Just a whole set of this to like really just get your brain to like see it and understand that pattern.
Right.
I'm like messing it up now, but yeah, I got you.
It's
I know what it
okay.
is.
And well,
And then
I'm
it's
gonna.
hard to see with the lines. I need like if I had 2 different color pins, like what you're doing, it'd be way easier to focus on. You know what I mean?
Yeah, for sure. And then like
Black.
and then you can do like subtractive stuff too. So and you can certainly try to do this. This might break your brain a little bit. But I just extended that grid, right? And then I want to make a circular cutout here, right? So I'm going to create my oval right here. And then the point where the oval intersects with that original square line, I draw a line out. And then same thing over here. And really I should be have all sorts of lines over here so I know where everything's matching up to. And then there's my oval on the other side.
Right. Oh, I see where I messed up on that part. Like I didn't connect it there. Should have gone there. There. Oh, I guess maybe. I think I messed up that one in general.
But okay, so now let me show you like the magic of all of this, right? So we made 1, 2, 3 shapes that 3 regular shapes that we created, and then we added this extra piece sticking out in the middle, and then we subtracted a cube, right? So now when we ink the final line of this, and we're following those outside edges. Right?
It's crazy. Yeah.
We have a complex shape now. Right?
Oh.
And then if I'm following, well, actually this would go like this too. So like if I were to, I guess, light this, right? Oh, I guess this needs done too. Right. So this right here is all one side. And this side is also that same side.
Okay. Dude, that's crazy. That's so cool.
And then like this too, is all the same plane as well.
Yep.
Technically this is too, but this follows like it has to follow the curves that you've already set here.
Yeah.
Right? So the lines actually go like that. Because this right here faces the top. This faces the top up like this, just like this faces the top.
All right. Makes sense. Dude, that's wild. That all makes sense for sure seeing it. And I was close for sure. I think if I like just fixed some stuff and redid it, had two colors, that would have made more sense. That's so great though. I can't wait to go back and retry this though.
Yeah, and this is again like you got to learn 2-point perspective in order to do this freehand off the top of your brain.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is all freehand, just going off of what you're showing me. Yeah, so I get that. That makes sense. Not bad though.
Yeah. Well, so what this then lets you do, right? If you can do this off the top of your brain, right? Now we can construct anything because we understand how to combine shapes.
Okay.
So if you try to do an arm, right?
Let me give you the focus here. Yeah, try doing this,
Okay.
showing this over here.
This is basically an arm. You have your oval, right? Or actually this is a sphere. Right? So this is a sphere. And this is your shoulder joint right here, right? This is your shoulder. And then now here's your upper arm, which is just a cylinder. Right. So here's your cylinder that you just drew. That's your upper arm. And then you have another ball joint, right? And then you technically simplify, I guess, let me do the simplified version, right? Is you then have another cylinder that comes out, right? And then you have your hand, which is a box connected to that cylinder. And then you have a bunch of tiny cylinders that are your fingers. Right?
Yeah.
And then you can do anything. That's how you construct the form or like the body, right? So I'm going to do two things. How far into this are we?
We're an hour and 24.
Okay. I don't know how much further I'm going to push this. I think I'm going to just tackle these two things and then.
Yeah. I think this has been such a dense, like, fulfilled lesson too. Like, it's a lot to.
Yeah. As I said, I was
go back.
crash coursing you, you know.
No, this is awesome. I love how full it is because it's a full-on lesson to where you get to the very end. You know, we could take this in chunks and repeat it.
Yeah, that's exactly what you're supposed to do is every chunk you just repeat over and over again until you can do it really well. And then you move on to the next step. So I'm gonna do two things here. I'm gonna do a head, and then I'm going to do a body.
Okay, let's do
So
that. I'm down.
so traditionally, I guess, there's this like Loomis head method, which is useful to learn, but is not like particularly accurate, I guess. But it's what we're gonna learn right now. So you draw a circle, right? And this is like what you see all the how to draw books do, right? But the problem is that they're skipping a ton of steps and you miss stuff along the way, right? So then I'm gonna do a straight on view, a profile, and a 3/4, but you draw your straight line down like this, right? Okay. And then now you draw basically you draw like a box here like this. Right. And then now you take like a midpoint of the line segments that you just made and you draw like an angled line, like a triangle, right? Like that. And then we're going to shave off the sides of the head here, which is it's an oval, which will make more sense in a little bit, right? But you're kind of shaving off the sides of the ball. Right. And then actually your line will come from the midpoint of that, but that's besides the point. So then you don't draw your midpoint, like your eye line, right? At the middle of the ball. You draw it in the middle of the head, like here.
Oh, the chin, like right there.
Right. So this is the top, this is the bottom, and then you draw it in the middle. And that's your eye line. And then like this is the okay.
Oh,
This
I'm
is the
seeing this now.
Loomis
Okay.
method, so this
Yeah.
is not anatomically correct. It is a shortcut to draw a head.
Yeah. No, I'm starting to
And
see it. It took me a second to like to grasp it. Yeah. Okay. Cool. Cool.
right,
Cool.
then you have your halfway between the eye line and the chin is your nose,
Uh-huh.
the bottom of your nose, and then halfway here is your mouth, and then halfway is your chin.
Huh.
And then up here is somewhere is your hairline. But going back to the eye line, you draw like circles like this, right? Going from the nose line to the eye line. You draw your ears.
Oh wow. Okay. I messed that up. But there we go.
And then you can just draw some lines down, and there's your neck, right?
Yeah.
and
It-
then then you can fill in your details, right? You got your eyes, your nose, lips, hairline, whatever, right? Oh, one last thing. You can take from like the middle of the ear down to this point that we created over here and do like this kind of curved in shape. And that indicates like your cheekbones or like
Mhm.
those planes there. Right. So and I'm gonna start moving a little bit faster. In profile, it's that same formula. There's your circle. I guess I should follow this line here, right? So there's your circle. You draw your line down. Draw your line across. You shave off the side of the head. Take the middle of that. There's your rectangle. Right.
Oh wow. Okay. Yeah.
And then now you have your center point eye line. You can create your triangle draw. You can do your ear. And then it becomes different because your nose comes out, right? So you draw a triangle out. And then you got your lips. Right? And then your eye socket and your hairline.
Dude, that's crazy.
And then you can do it 3/4 too, right? So here's your circle. But the difference is that your center point, or like your things are going to start curving, right? So here's your center line now is off to the side. Here's this line. You shave off the sides of your thing. Here's your center point now. You can drop your line down here. This is going to angle out like this. No. And then you draw your nose, which is a cone, right? And then your ears. You can shave off that corner. And then you can do your jawline, right? I forgot to do it on that one too.
That's so cool. I've literally never done this before or been able to do this before, but it totally makes sense now.
Yeah. So then this is but you're constructing from shapes, right? I prefer to do it a little bit differently. I do, which this is still common too, but I'll do like a box, right? I don't usually construct it exactly like this, but I do like a rectangle like this. And then I have my lines here. And actually I separate it into thirds like this. And then from here, this is your eyebrow line and the bottom of the nose. So your eyes are actually somewhere like there. But I do my nose, and then I do like the circles for the sockets, and they're lining up with the eyebrow line, right? And then I draw a skull. And then now I have this like basic armature, right? So when I draw over this, I can just fill in details.
Oh, cool.
Right? And then it all makes sense.
sick. Oh, I missed you doing that neck part.
And if I'm just like drawing to like this is like construction.
Yeah.
I'm oftentimes not even doing construction. It's like mental math, right? Like this is what I'm imagining on the paper,
Mhm.
but I don't need that. I'll just like draw. So like usually I'll start with like the nose. Here's like a nose plane, and then I'll draw like the eyes, and then somewhere down here is the mouth, and then like here's my cheekbones. Here's like a chin, and then I can just like fill in the gaps, right? And I'm staying like really loose. Nothing's like even connected. And then I can go in and like draw my details of whatever I want, right? It could now be whoever I want it to be. You know? And this is like I'm doing like this is my own style, right? So this isn't like academic at all.
Yeah, and I'm just like mimicking you. I'm just watching what you're doing and mimicking it. That's all I'm kind of like keeping up with and just seeing how it comes out. Just so I could get like the assets of it, you know?
Right.
But it's definitely like even just like cooler than anything else. You know, like it's making sense putting the pieces together, even running through it.
Right. But everything is off of like this construction method, right? I've
Yeah.
practiced the construction method so many times that I can do this because I'm imagining this in my head, this like structure underneath.
Ah, there you go.
When you're starting, you need to do this underlying structure before you can draw on top of it. Otherwise, things will be uneven and wonky, right? Like if I then draw underneath that, right? Like I drew this without an underlying structure. But when I do a structure over it, here's my center line. This space here, right, is relatively equal on each side of the face. Right? Here's the big circle. Here's those lines that I dropped to make that square. Here's that center line where the eyes are. Here's the third line where the eyebrows are. Here's the ears. Right? Here's that halfway where the mouth is, halfway where the chin is. The random thing to make the neck. You know? Like all this, the structure is all there. It's just mental math.
That's so cool.
And then now you do a body, right? And it's kind of more complicated. It's just a different structure or arrangement, right? So like we do that head, right, that we just talked about. And I'm actually going to change it a little bit, right? We're combining shapes. So there's your head, right? And then you have your cylinder here. And then you have like an oval. And here's your center line. And then this is like kind of just like the shape of a rib cage, right? But it's an egg. So then everything like comes off of here, right? So then you have that's going to be where the shoulders go eventually. Here's like a spine. Um, then you have your pelvis or your hips, right? It's just another box. And then this is going to get cut off. Unfortunately, I didn't leave enough room, but your legs are going to go like here. Here's your center line. But now you have your torso and your head. And then you can draw a cylinder as a leg, here as your ball joint, another cylinder as your leg, as your thigh, right? And here's that. And then it just continues, right? Once you get to the feet, it's like there's your lower leg, a cylinder for your ankle. This is kind of like a half of a cylinder cut in half to be your foot, a box, and then like kind of a sphere shape over here to draw your foot. Arms are the same way. It's just a cylinder with a ball with another cylinder, and then like a box, and then like, whatever.
Nice.
But another thing that's good to mention is that like here, so you know where things are like aligning in space. Your shoulders, right? It's kind of like just a cylinder through. And then when you have your chest like blocks some of it. So then if your arm is going back this way, you have to draw through your forms when you're starting. And really you should always, but you can just get shortcuts for things to be lazy and move faster. Right.
Yeah, it makes sense for sure. But just being able to see it and imagine it, know it's there, you know what I mean?
Right. And then so now I can just draw over this. And then like and this is all me memorizing like anatomy, So that's
Yeah.
why I can do this. It just takes practice. Here's your belly button. Right. But you can start drawing a more human form over it. Something that's more organic than boxes and cylinders.
Yeah. No, this is all like you just kind of fill it up over. Yeah. This is cool. We'll definitely have to like go into this in more detail too.
We'll
Like,
do
see how this connects into like starting from where we were, beginning with the kind of just recapping real fast, we kind of start off with just with the lines and the curves and how the line in various angles and the curves in various ways and forms and understanding how it works with your arm bleeds into making squares and rectangles and triangles and filling in, finding shapes within shapes and filling them in and getting them nailed down to like know how to do those perfect, proportions and everything and knowing how to proportion stuff. Which, doing squares and, knowing and seeing within the shape helps you do things like 3D, which is the cubes that we were working on. And just understanding the cube lets you put it in perspective. And when we move into perspective, you see like how to like freehand the cube and how it makes sense. And where, you have once you understand this, things like just, buildings make sense. Like, all that it starts to click. And once you see how things move in that motion of perspective, we got to do this like wonky ass like mirror dimension Which still blows my mind, but just shows you like what's within what and how you could cross things through and see them in different angles. And to your construction was way better than mine because I was like watching you doing it.
Yeah,
But
okay, right.
yeah. Yeah, and then you see how you make buildings like out of those shapes and how those shapes come together and how that perspective really lets you see various sides and it gives it dense and um stuff within it. And then how it even applies to the easiest, not easiest, but to everything. Like all of this is circles and squares and triangles and dimensions and depth and showing things in different perspective angles, and that's how you show the sides of the face and it becomes way more 3D. Dude, it's like total like I'm watching you, I'm scribbling with a pen for one, like just a regular pen on sketch paper, and I'm watching you do this as you're doing it. And even then, it's clicking so well. Like I feel if like I slowed down and actually, did it and took my time and try to do this as like a lesson, on my own speed, it would come out really well. But just like even freehanding it like we are tonight, dude, it just clicks. Like all of
Yeah,
this does come together. And these I see, it's not like it was off, going off by what, watching you do it. But like I could see the faces and I see how it all clicks together. And once you could see how it all clicks together, you'll know how to manipulate it a bit more and shape it and mold it. But I've always done faces. I don't know if I have very many in here, but like I didn't know how to approach them at all. So this gave a lot of clarity to that.
yeah. It all revolves around like space. How do you convey space in 3D?
Yeah.
It's I forgot to cover this earlier, right? But like I guess it's good to bring it up now because we're talking about organic stuff now. This
Mhm.
is like these things don't actually these aren't strict shapes like cubes and stuff like that. It's based on a cube, but it's more flowy than that, right? So even if you just draw like some organic mass, right? It doesn't need to be anything special, right? There's some sort of organic shape of whatever, right? But this is just a 2D shape. This exists on a plane, a flat surface. So how do you make it look round, right? Or like 3D is you have to imagine you have an ant, right? And it's crawling over the surface of this thing and then it's wrapping around and then maybe like goes out, right? And there's your ground and then somewhere over here it comes out. And then you repeat. Your ant's crawling along and then crawls on the ground. And then it actually crawls over here and then goes out.
Oh wow. It looks like that creature from Nausicaa. I don't know if you've ever seen that.
Yeah. And then over here, it's like, okay, well, actually, the ant's crawling. That is crawling the other way. That curve is going to crawl that other way. And then once you do those bands, right? These horizontal or vertical bands,
Yeah.
then you do it horizontally, right? And so your little ant and you're crawling and you're going to go into this crevice here, and then you're going to come out along the form and cross along like that. And over here, the journey will be the same. And then suddenly, you know, so you're mapping out the 3D form of this object.
Oh, okay, yeah. That makes more sense now. Okay. I see. That totally makes more sense now. I see what I was doing different. Okay, cool.
And that's how you like make trees, right? Is like it's like this odd shape and then it comes up and then it goes around and then over here. And then, like a tree isn't going to follow some organic or some like strict cylinder rules, right? And then there's going to be like branches coming out behind the tree. But when you map all of this, right, those lines follow one another, and there's a curve to it all, and then the bands come around. And then now you have some roots or whatever, and then here's your ground. Now you have a tree.
Oh yeah.
So it's all of it is 100% mental exercise and drilling and trying this stuff over and over again until it clicks in your brain and you memorize it.
Whew. That was a dense lesson today, sir.
Yeah.
But
I hope
go, if you're like just traveling and you don't got your stuff, you could always just pick up a pen and paper and just work on this stuff, like
studies,
yeah. No
studies, fundamentals, it's you can do it anywhere on any sheet of paper, do it on a napkin at a restaurant, do it wherever, right?
This is all practical. Nobody's meant to see this, you know what I mean? Like,
no,
because look how it comes out when you're just winging it, like when you don't know about, like, it's supposed to be messy and you're supposed to be figuring it out as you go. It's supposed to be gross, like, and embarrassing, so accept that and just like work on it.
Yeah, this stuff, like, we go through so many like 500-page sheets of newsprint going through art school. You're drawing on these giant pieces of paper, moving as fast as you can, getting out all of the practice out of the way so that when you try to do a final piece, you've already done your push-ups, you've already done the mental math and stuff like that, and you're able to process everything.
Yeah,
it's crazy. It really is. I hope this was interesting to you and not too much that it broke your brain.
No, this was just like so, like, I mean, we moved through it real fast. This was a lot.
We did.
2 hours.
Yes.
Considering the first like 18 minutes, we were just like doing lines. You know what I mean? We really sped it up the faster we went through everything. But I mean, you start here and you do this for about 15 minutes, and then you accelerate to what we were doing in 3D stuff that I've never even tried before. But that's so much to absorb, and it gives you so much to just play with. Like. Anything you work on, no matter what stage, if you just pick it up and do it, it's going to benefit you somehow. Like, none of this is too above or below anybody.
No, anybody can draw that line, right? Like, anybody can start drawing lines and boxes and curves. It's a line and it's a box and it's a curve. You just do it, right? It's all like, and then as the weeks go by, you can start trying this stuff out.
Yeah. See your growth within it once you understand it more and more.
Yeah, spend more time doing these exercises and you'll be amazed at how fast you can grow.
You're like one of these for a week,
Yeah.
Once a day, for a bit.
Right. I think every writer should try and learn how to draw.
Yeah.
Just try it. Like, who cares? At least you'll have an interesting. Yeah. So do you think this was useful to you?
Oh, dude, so much. So I can't wait to like really dive into it more. You know what I mean?
Good.
And really like be able to showcase like what this looks like in like 6 months, and like when we start drawing, like, maybe we'll do a spinner wheel soon and like draw something fun or something, a character or something. But I mean, we'll see how that benefits. And my next drawings, I'll see how it benefits me no matter what. I'm really hyped about that.
Yeah, me too. I think it'll be interesting. So next week, you want to Okay, so next week we're gonna do thumbnails. So we're gonna be talking about composition, and we're gonna go back to 2D planes instead of 3D planes, and we're gonna talk about how to make a cool image.
Okay. Are we gonna do it to maybe we'll have a script or something, like a one pager or something?
Um,
Or you want to make something up, or should I do it to my own like practice script, just as like a writer
yeah,
to understand it?
yeah. Why don't you do that? That
All
sounds
right,
good to
that'll give
me.
me a deadline to write the script I need to write. So cool.
I'm gonna be thumbnailing for one of my next projects. So, but we'll talk about it because you don't even need a script to do thumbnails. But besides the point, plug your stuff, Brandon.
Yeah, check out Inspired Inc. and all of the stuff we're here doing at CWS. All the community stuff we're doing is so much fun, and we're so excited to be sharing all these like creators and having people on. And we're gonna have a lot more guests on Spilled Ink coming up. People are asking like crazy to be on it, so we're definitely gonna have a lot of fun. And we're looking to have like more than one guest, like 3, 4 people hanging out with us on the night. So keep an eye out for that. And actually, just in my hands today, I'm actually going to do an unboxing. I'll show it on the Comics Spring socials. But I got the Shadow Anthology, Dark Side's Calling. This was curated by Kai Brown. This is an Apollo City Comics publication. And I actually have 2 stories in it. I'm really excited about it. I have one with Tanner Ogle, and of course, Max did the lettering on that. And it's a Teenage Babylon short. It's a 2-pager. It's really cool. And I also have the first glimpse of Fake Your Death that I do with China Rosemaria. And of course, Max Flowers did the lettering for that one as well. And I'm really excited to get Fake Your Death out there for the first time, and for everyone to really see China's work. China also has 2 stories in here. So her stuff is just phenomenal. She's in everything we do for a good reason. But this is the main cover, and then this is the variant. Oh, this is done by Tanner, and as not Tanner Ogle, Klessens. I don't want to mess up the last name. And so this is the main cover, and then we have a variant done by Abel. These are very limited. This is the foil, so it's super rare actually. But really gets excited to showcase that foil that CWS does and that special bound. This is like over 100 pages. I want to say it's 108. And then we have Cybersync, curated by Alex Batts. Max Flowers did the wraparound cover for this. Beautiful, amazing. I'm so hyped about this. Max, you have a story in this one too, right?
Yeah,
Yeah, you're in
I have a
both.
story in both of them. 2-pager and a 1-pager.
Yeah, you're in all the anthologies actually. I'm not in this one. It's kind of crazy. China's in this one though, which is super sick. Super cool. But yeah, and then we have the variant covered by Bob Little, very rare. We're gonna be running out of these very soon. But yeah, Max is in so much of this material. So I very much, if you want to see a good variety of his work, please check it out. And speaking of Max's material, Max, why don't you tell us what you have in front of you?
Well, first I wanted to say that everybody who backed the Shadow Anthology and Cybersync books are gonna go out to you as soon as Brandon is able to.
Looking at
And
late
then
June. Late June.
yeah, and then whatever we've got left will be up for sale after that. But I've got Bubbles out right now through lesserknowncomics.com. It's a black mold written neon queer horror story. And yeah, that's available now. Books are coming in from CWS very soon. So thank you everybody for your patience, and we'll get those orders out to you as soon as we can. If you want to check out more of the process, stuff like this, how we've made the book, you can get the process scene as well. These are made by me and have everything from scripts, concept designs, layouts, raw scans of inks, all sorts of cool stuff. So yeah, check that out now on lesserknowncomics.com.
And Brandon Rodriguez chimed in to say, "This is great. You can't go wrong with reviewing the fundamentals of drawing. Whenever I'm uninspired, I just start sketching basic shapes. That's what you've got to do. That's part of the grind. That's how you accelerate and get better. So thank you so much, Brandon. And hey, great name too. You know what I mean? But
Awesome.
other than that, I mean, Max, any other words?
No, everybody just keep making comics, keep reading comics, and we'll catch you next week.
Yes, we'll see y'all next week. Have a good night.